Good morning and welcome to the National Newspaper Publishers Association's Let It Be Known. This morning, Biden says he agrees with the Colorado Supreme Court decision on Donald Trump. We'll tell you what the president had to say. Also, the Boston mayor is apologizing to black men who were wrongly accused of killing a white woman some years ago. Boy, Michelle Yu's been in the news a lot, right? 2-year-old black girl in Florida handcuffed and fingerprinted as part of a school play on Rosa Parks. What is up with that? And families across the United States go months, sometimes years, without being informed that their loved one is dead and buried. We'll bring you details about that as well. And Taraji P. Henson gets emotional talking about being underpaid and how women are treated in Hollywood. We'll have the latest with Taraji P. Henson. But first, Power 96 says he is tired of watching Morning Joe. He says he tried watching it anyway, and he see why people don't like that show. He says they're afraid of Donald Trump. Listen, that's why you have us, Power 96. We're not afraid, just so you'll know. Well, the president has spoken. Joe Biden told reporters that there is, quote, no question that former President Trump supported an insurrection. And here's audio. Okay, so it's Joe is talking rather low, but he says, come on, Joe, raise your voice, Joe. But he says no question that Trump supported an insurrection a day after the Colorado Supreme Court ruled that Trump was disqualified from the state's 2024 primary ballot because of his role in the January 6th attack. Um, he says, well, I think certainly it's self-evident. You saw it all. Now we'll see whether the 14th Amendment applies. But the latest twist in that, though, is that Donald Trump yesterday filed a motion to the Supreme Court saying, don't hear the case. He doesn't want to see, he doesn't want the Supreme Court to weigh in. He wants it, he says, take your time. He wants them, he just come out flat out. He wants them not to rule on these cases at all. And again, he wants to delay it until after the election because he feels like he's going to win the election. And of course, if he does that, everything goes away. Good morning, Austin Cooper. Renowned and profound Austin Cooper. Hey, see, back at you. But nonetheless, as the president said, Trump is doubling down on everything. He's made no secret who he is, what he is. And those who've known him are saying that too. So we've seen Howard Stern go after, we've seen others go after him, despite the cowardice of people in his own party, including, as we saw yesterday and brought to you yesterday, Vivek Ramaswamy and even Chris Christie, all of those folks saying essentially Trump is above the law and should be treated like he's above the law. And Vivek Ramaswamy is basically saying, you know what, Trump, I want to be your vice president. So I will do whatever. I'll get on my hands and knees and do whatever you command me to do. Nothing's off limits. That's pretty much what Vivek Ramaswamy is doing and has said, right? Paraphrasing, of course, putting my own spin on it. But come on, it's really not my own spin, right? So give it a rest. But they are really so Trump. When I say they, we're talking about Trump and the Republican Party are now making it very well known. So the good thing about all of this is that because you say you want an informed electorate. You want informed voters. You want people to be informed. The good thing about it is they're doing a better job of informing you than their opponents, right? They are informing you that we are above the law. We can do whatever we want, and we are going to rule like you're in like Idi Amin's country or something. We're gonna rule like you're in one of the kingdoms in the Middle East. We're gonna rule like uh, Vladimir Putin or your guy in North Korea. That's what they're telling you. And then it's not just, and see, people get it twisted. It's not just black folks that they are um, seeking to oppress and continue to oppress. They want a dictatorship. They want some say apartheid like uh, rule. I disagree. They want worse than that because in apartheid, the white folks were free. Trump is it's you all are in the line of fire. If you are poor and white, middle class and white, you're just as vulnerable under that rule as we are as black people. So you talk about being informed. They're doing a good job of informing. You remember they said shoot people in the street. If they're committing a robbery, the crowd's rushing out, shoot them all, is what Trump said. His own words. Shoot them all. And he said also that he's going to give the police unfettered authority to take people out. Of course, as African Americans, we see that anyway. But he's talking about everybody. So you're being informed. It's just that simple. And turn our attention to Boston. How about the mayor of Boston? Mayor Michelle Wu. She is she issued a formal apology yesterday to two black men who were wrongly accused in a 1989 murder of a white woman, a case that coursing divisions in the city long split along racial lines and renowned suspicion.
On behalf of the Boston Police Department, the Mayor's Office, and the entire city of Boston, I want to say to Mr. Swanson and Mr. Bennett, the entire Bennett family, and Boston's entire Black community, I am so sorry for what you endured. I am so sorry for the pain that you have carried for so many years. What was done to you was unjust, unfair, racist, and wrong.
Say it again.
And so there you have it. So the mayor is apologizing, and it's a very rare thing, right? To have it took them to what just a handful of years ago to apologize for slavery. and but this mayor, this is the same mayor, by the way, earlier in the week, came to the defense of her aide who sent out Christmas invitations with the subject line and on the invitation for colored lawmakers or for lawmakers of color only. And when the news media called her out for it, the mayor jumped to her defense and saying, "Yep, I told her to do it." This mayor, this mayor is she's on a different plane, isn't she? And Power 96 says, you remember the case of Alan Swanson and Willie Bennett, I should say, these two wrongly accused black men in which she issued that formal apology. The guy killed his pregnant other half and blamed two black guys. The husband committed suicide. And it turns out the husband, Charles Stewart, orchestrated her killing. Stewart was also, of course, white. He blamed his wife killing and his own shooting. He didn't commit suicide, but he, at that time anyway, I don't know if he later committed suicide, Power 96, but he, eh, eh, his own shooting, what he portrayed as an attempted carjack, and apparently he shot himself to falsely claim that he was being carjacked by these black men. And then what that did, it intensified police activity in a predominantly black, all predominantly black neighborhoods in Boston. They were pursuing these phantom assailants. And so these two young men were scapegoated. And so now the mayor is issuing an apology. And one, as you saw, the gentleman in gray doing this behind her back. Was he doing that like we getting paid type thing? And that's the problem too. That's a problem as well because they spend all that time not only imprisoned, having their names sullied in that way, and then you give them a couple of bucks, basically, a couple of $1 million, as if that's going to compensate for what you've done to them. But Mayor Wu did the right thing, of course. And as Austin says, and this is what we talked about yesterday, no commission or study is needed for the mayor to do what's right. No commission or study is needed for the government, the federal government, and all the state governments to do what's right. So all of this stuff about what New York did the other day, oh, we passed a bill to form a commission to study the potential of reparations. Let's give it a rest, okay? What are you studying? Go watch Roots again, or 12 Years a Slave, or Will Smith's Emancipation. Go watch that. That's all the studying you need to do. Take a couple of hours and watch that. That's it. What's the other one that's on now? Bass Reeves. Go watch that. It's all you need. And then Boston absolutely has been a nightmare. It's the Mississippi of the North. It's the Alabama of the North. Has always been. I mean, come on. Yeah, up south, right? And Mike V says Mayor Marty Walsh and Mayor Menino sat in power for 30 years and did nothing about this. It took an Asian mayor to come out to right the wrongs of white folks. And Angela Connolly, right. Be sure to watch these things that we've mentioned. Angela Connolly says, with your black friends. Yeah, it's just, see, that's what we do here at Let It Be Known, the Black Press. So we talk a little bit about these things, but we try to talk about it in a way that they're not going to talk about it. Morning Joe's not going to talk about it that way, as Power 96 alluded to earlier. So here we are. And then we see stuff like what's happened in Florida. A preschool in Florida is under fire from the NAACP and the parents of a 2-year-old black girl who they alleged was made to participate in a, quote, racially unethical Rosa Parks role play. The incident happened earlier this month when a class of 2- and 3-year-old children were learning about Rosa Parks. And the girl, who the NAACP alleged was the only black student in the class, played Rosa Parks, of course, during a reenactment of her 1955 arrest for refusing to give up her seat at the front of the segregated bus. Well, photos of the reenactment that the NAACP showed to a news outlet, it shows that the girl's uh, peer pretending to fingerprint her with paint and holding her hands behind her back. The photos were shared with the class's parents. The girl's parents pulled her out of the school within 30 minutes of seeing the images, saying that the girl and the parents were horrified. They said Rosa Parks was a woman that we would teach our daughter to look up to, but now our memory is stained. This is something we'll have to grow around and see how we can tell her this story differently. The girl's parents last spoke with the school during a phone call on December 1st, the day this happened. And the school told her that there would be no formal apology forthcoming. And they had no response to the incident. And of course, this is Florida. Bobby Henry is watching, and he knows full well what has happened to Florida, particularly under the governorship of Ron DeSantis. Yeah, Angela Connolly. That's the only skit they came up with. The only black girl in the class, and they want to put her hands behind her back, fingerprint her. 2 years old. See, that's these teachers. Teachers. On the one hand, you know that they have a lot on their plate. They work hard. They're underpaid, etc. But then on the other hand, you get stuff like this, and then you get certain parents who want to squeeze their necks, for lack of a better term. But this is absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And speaking of ridiculous, we're gonna because I can't keep talking about this little girl. It's gonna anger me. But and Andrew Connolly mentions a great point. Lesson plans have to be approved. So the district approved this. The school approved this. Then they double down. We're not apologizing. Power 96 says the teacher's not from America. It does not matter, does it, Power 96? Bobby Henry says, yeah, down in Florida, we have our hands full. And thank you, NPA, and let it be known for bringing this to the forefront. But this is what let it be known is for, right? It's all about. This is what we do. The black press needs this representation. The black press has been around, as you know, for a long time, almost 200 years. We are the flagship digital news program of the Black Press of America. And it's an honor for us to bring you news every morning. It's a celebration of history, resilience, and our unwavering commitment to bring you the stories that matter. We know you got choices regarding your news sources. We don't begrudge that. We celebrate it because we build a richer, more informed community through the diversity of voices. But here at Let It Be Known, we stand on the shoulders of giants, 200 years of groundbreaking journalism that predates the end of slavery in America. Remember that. We are the legacy of publications like Ebony, the Chicago Defender, Amsterdam News, Rolling Out, and so many more that have shaped the narrative, challenged the status quo, and championed the voices of the Black community. Maintaining a solid audience becomes increasingly challenging in a world where everyone seems to have a podcast and a microphone. Celebrities have them. They flood the airwaves. We may not have the colossal resources of mainstream networks or the household names of certain media moguls, but we possess something invaluable: authenticity, a rich history, and an unyielding commitment to you, our viewers. Since the dawn of the pandemic, we've been here for you, providing news to start your mornings, updates to keep you informed in a perspective that echoes the diverse tapestry of our community. We understand the power of information and we wield it responsibly. We are grounded in the principles that have guided the Black press for nearly 2 centuries. As the media landscape evolves, we stand resolute, confident that you, our viewers, are our most important resource. We ask for your continued support, though, not just as passive spectators, but as active participants in our journey. And you do that. You comment, you ask questions. But what we ask of you is to share the broadcast. Hit that share button on your YouTube page or Facebook or Twitter, wherever you tune in. Subscribe to our YouTube page. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and join the conversation on Twitter. Spread the word that the Black press is alive, kicking, and thriving in this ever-changing media game. We are here for you, and we thank you for being here for us. Let us continue to be a beacon of truth, a source of empowerment, and a testament to the strength of community. Let it be known that together, we're going to continue to write the next chapter of history for us and by us. Just keep that in mind, folks, as you tune in. Now, to another story that we want to bring you this morning. It's something else to anger us, right? As if we don't have enough on our plates, as Bobby says. We got so much on. I feel like right now, Public Enemy, right? I feel like saying fight the power. Because it's stuff like this we talked about there with the Black child, 2 years old. That stuff can really get to you. And we're reporting stuff like this on a regular basis. And that is why we say what we say. And that's why we also say read and support your local Black newspapers, Black-owned newspapers as well. Black-owned is the key. Black-owned. Bobby Henry takes me back to the 70s. He says, right on. Remember that in good times, especially in good times. Right on. You hear the audience, right on. But in Louisiana, here's something that's really troubling as well. Parents spent 8 months searching for their 34-year-old son, only to discover this summer that his body had been identified soon after his disappearance and cremated without their permission. Siblings in Michigan filed a missing persons report when they couldn't reach their 59-year-old brother, but they say nobody contacted them after police found him dead from an overdose. His body sat in a county morgue for 514 days. 514 days, decomposing to the point of being unrecognizable. And then in California, after a man there died from complications of COVID, it took a coroner in California more than 3 months to notify his family. The coroner investigators' explanation: we dropped the ball. And that's the problem. Death investigation experts say these mistakes are preventable. Coroners and medical examiners, they say, should adopt detailed written protocols for identifying and contacting the next of kin. And when exhaustive efforts to find families fall short, experts say officials should post the names of the unclaimed dead to a government database where families can search for loved ones. But here's the deal. Some coroners and medical examiners have no written next of kin notification policies, and the vast majority do not post the names of unclaimed dead to the federal database. The, the combined effect of these shortcomings is this. Each year across the United States, untold numbers of families are needlessly left in the dark after a loved one dies. In some cases, family members spend months or years actively searching in vain for loved ones who've already been buried or cremated. Aaron Kimmerly who is a forensic anthropologist at the University of South Florida, said that the tools exist to solve many or even most of these cases. Aaron says it's a matter of having the will to do it. Tens of thousands of bodies go unclaimed nationally every year, according to estimates, either because families cannot afford burials, the dead have no living relatives, or because officials have failed to identify or reach the next of kin. In many cases, the unclaimed dead were homeless or suffered from relationship shattering addictions, making it difficult for officials to locate families, a challenge that has only grown in an era of widespread opioid addiction, surging homelessness. We see it everywhere, and increasingly fractured families. But still, in other instances, I should say, the authorities simply fail to take basic measures to reach family members. We know the story in Jackson, Mississippi, where the Hinds County coroner buried people in a pauper cemetery without notifying their families. The story of Betterston Wade, who spent months searching for her 37-year-old son, Dexter Wade, only to learn this past summer that he had been struck and killed by a police cruiser less than an hour after he left home, and later buried without her knowledge at a county penal farm. So this goes on and on and on. So, but there is a database, a free federal program, the National Missing and Unidentified Persons System, or they call it NAMUS, without the E, NAMUS. That tool can help alert families when a loved one's body has gone unclaimed. Unlike other federal databases, such as the National Crime Information Center, which is accessible only to law enforcement, anyone can view postings of missing and unclaimed people on NAMUS, and each listing is searchable on Google. And the system has proven effective. According to NAMUS, of the roughly 20,000 unclaimed persons reports added to the system over the past decade, about 3,800 were later archived, indicating that in nearly 1 in 5 cases, someone came forward to claim the remains. So the implication is pretty clear, according to experts. The simple act of posting the names of the unclaimed dead has the potential to deliver answers to thousands upon thousands of families every single year. But of course, in a huge part of the country, including Mississippi, of course, the names aren't shared publicly. It's unbelievable. And we say that about a lot. I say that about a lot of things, right? It's not unbelievable anymore. It's to be expected. This is America. And speaking of this being America, Taraji P. Henson is on a tour right now. She's on a media tour. And Taraji, you're invited to anytime stop in on Let It Be Known and let's talk about this. But take a listen to what Taraji P. Henson had to say. Okay, so we having volume problems. Here we go.
I'm just tired of working so hard, being gracious at what I do, getting paid a fraction of the cost. I'm tired of hearing my sisters say the same thing over and over. You get tired. I hear people go, "You work a lot." Yeah. Well, have to. The math ain't mathing. And when you start working a lot, You have a team. Big bills come with what we do. We don't do this alone. The fact that we're up is a whole entire team behind us.
Yes.
They have to get paid. So when you hear someone saying, "Oh, such and such made $10 million," no, that's not that didn't make it to their account. Know that off the top, Uncle Sam is getting 50%.
That's right.
Okay. So do the math. Now we have 5 million. Your team is getting 30% or whatever your team is off of what you grossed,
Sometimes
not
more.
after what Uncle Sam took. Now do the math. So I'm
You're tired.
I'm only human, and it seems every time I do something and I break another glass ceiling, when it's time to renegotiate, I'm at the bottom again, like I never did what I just did, and I'm just tired. I'm tired. I'm tired.
I get that.
Okay, so there's a few things about that. And somebody again, look, somebody posted this. I can't disagree. If more Black actresses would have supported Monique publicly years ago, I wonder if we still would be having this conversation about pay inequality. Remember, they pretty much turned their back on Monique, and maybe they didn't like the way she was delivering it, but she was saying the same thing. And the other thing, and now, I mean, I like Taraji. Listen, one of my favorite Taraji pictures was with her and Don Cheadle when they was in Talk to Me about a famous Washington, D.C. radio DJ. Awesome acting. She and Don Cheadle rocked it in that movie. She talked about Benjamin Button. They offered her $100,000. She asked for 500,000. They offered her 100,000, and ultimately they gave her another 150. So she got 250. And now some might look at this and say, okay, 250,000. And yes, we understand. You're not the only one. Actors are not the only one that Uncle Sam comes for. If you make 100,000 a year, right? Do you think you're netting 100,000? I can't feel bad for an actor because they're saying no. Uncle Sam's doing the same thing to me, doing the same thing to you. That's not the issue. I know that's not the only issue. The issue is about pay equality, which she's 100% right on. But so was Monique. But everyone said leave Monique alone. And again, it's no knock against Taraji. And yes, the men are getting paid, have been getting paid much more, 10 times or more than the women. And it's not right. It's not right. And you got some serious female actresses out there. Many a lot better than the men. But again, she mentioned the 10 million figure. I know you got to slice it up. You got publicists, you got agents, you got managers. And that's the cost of doing business, right? That's what many will argue. When I do a book, we had Rashonda on recently. She can tell you this. I do a book. They tell me, okay, your advance is 200,000. The agent gets his 15% off the top. The lawyer is getting his 15% off the top. And then I got to pay taxes on the rest of the 200,000, what's remaining. And we all got bills. And true, yes. Well, listen, yes, these execs, these Hollywood people, they're making billions. They're making billions. It's true. And again, she's 100% right on the pay disparity part. But I'm not going to sit here and feel bad for somebody who got a $10 million check and needed to cut it up. And yeah, Greer says she knows actors who had salaries of 125 and walked away with just 12K. And that's horrible. There are people who are making $7.25 an hour. Say what you want. I can't get too worked up about the salaries of athletes, entertainers, actors, actors. I can't get too worked up about it. But what I can get worked up about is the disparity between male and female. That needs to stop. And with all this movement that we have, the Me Too movement, I know it's a little different, but you got all these other movements. They just had a writer strike, they had an actor strike. Where was their representation? How come this hasn't changed? That's where it needs to change. And once again, I can't help but think what that person who posted about Monique was spot on. Spot on. So, when you look at it like that, hey, yeah, the math ain't mathing. But I think too, the other part of it is she's doing this while she's promoting the new movie, The Color Purple. Now, Taraji P. Henson will have an audience when she's not promoting the film. So instead of overshadowing the film with this controversy and making it an issue while she's promoting this film, then perhaps it might have been better had she not commingled the two there. Or is she getting the same mistreatment with The Color Purple? And Mike V says, check Brookings Institute on Affirmative Action and Black men economic inequality. Black men are paid less than everyone in the labor market while also undereducated. So this is a fight not only in Hollywood. And yes, Hollywood, they make billions. The studios and the big wigs and other industries, they make so much money. And so this is an issue that needs to be fought across the board. And again, that's particularly with women. I see what Mike V is saying. But certainly women in Hollywood have continuously been thrown the proverbial scraps after the big guys have been paid. So she says, if I don't take a stand, how am I making it easy for Fantasia, for Danielle Brooks, and others? And let's be clear to Black women, in particular, Black women, really. But she's right about that, taking a stand. How is she making it easy? But Monique was left out there alone. So think about that. Think about that. And Power 96 says, seems to me like every time a good Black movie comes out, there's always something to take away from that movie, a distraction or a different narrative. Because they've been screening that movie and it's been getting rave reviews. So feel bad for Taraji, but understand that it needs to be more than just Taraji fighting this issue. She shouldn't have had to have been reduced to tears on television during an interview about her salaries. I mean, there are people in this industry that we're in that are not making livable wages. There are people in all industries, but it's up to us to put our foot down. It's up to us to demand better, show the power that we have. And Black women in Hollywood have been marginalized forever. But I think that they've reached a point where they have enough of the Taraji P. Henson's types, the Viola Davises, and others, where they can take a stand, a meaningful stand, and effect meaningful change. Just try it anyway, right? Because she's right. Somebody's got to take a stand. Monique tried. I gotta keep going. I'm not even a Monique fan, but I gotta say, and folks didn't like it. And she called, and part of the reason they didn't like it because she called out people like Tyler Perry and Oprah Winfrey. And of course, Steve Harvey made a fool out of himself in that interview he did with her, telling her that she should not have any integrity. She should only worry about the money. And the other problem with that was maybe she could have easily gone along with Steve if she was making money. That was her whole point. So they say don't talk about it, be about it. So Taraji and Monique and Viola Davis, all of them, even the ones that do get a sizable check, they need to join this. And then they need to recruit some of their white friends, Julia Roberts and others. That's how I see it. I know it's probably more difficult than I make it sound, but in actuality, it really shouldn't be. Because what would be good for Taraji would be great for a Julia Roberts. And I'm saying Julia Roberts because I'm drawing a blank on all white actresses. Oh gosh. But that's Taraji P. Henson's story. She's sticking with it. She says enough is enough. This industry will steal your soul. Well, Taraji, we definitely empathize with you. We definitely empathize with you. My point, I've made my point, but I still feel what you're saying and understand where you're coming from. So, folks, we'll see if anything changes, right? We will see if anything changes. But remember, as I noted a little bit ago in my little rant about supporting us, we're not asking for $10 million unless of course, you're generous. I mean, we'll take that. We're asking for you to like and share and subscribe to. It's free. Subscribe to our YouTube page and tell your friends about us. Tell your parents about us, your kids about us, your nieces and nephews, aunts and uncles, your neighbors. Daniela Pierre says, I understand the point shared from Taraji, though Monique said it too. Society seems to have a hard time accepting the truth from darker skinned, curvy Black women. And there you have it. I agree with that as well, Daniela Pierre. So again, as we sign off on this, it's Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. Wow. Friday. We ask for your continued support, not just, again, as passive spectators, but as active participants in our journey. Share this broadcast, please, and hit that share button on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and wherever you tune in, and hit that subscribe button as well, and tell everybody about us. And when we come back tomorrow, maybe you'll bring some friends with you. Thanks for watching.